Hey guys, another quick video on the Mercedes here for any of you guys needing some of these air filters. Alright, there's two of them. First thing you got to do is remove this cover here. Drag this thing off the top of the engine. And then we toss it to the side. Alright. Okay, inside of this plastic box here is an air filter, and inside of this plastic box here is an air filter. So we're going to see what we got to do to get those off and change the filters out for these. Now don't let them fool you, because you can go to Mercedes and buy these filters and they cost you about $60. These right here came from Amazon. They're 20 bucks for the set of both of them. So that's one for each side here. Inside this box only costs $20. So don't pay 60, pay 20, get you a decent air filter and put these puppies in, and hopefully you're better off. So first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna loosen this clamp right here so I can take this off of the plastic. And then right around here, take that bolt right there out. And then this should slide this way. It's connected right there. See that right there? So we're actually going to move this. Okay. And then I'm going to set it to the side over here. Try to get it caught on something so it stays out the way. Okay. So first thing we got to do is take this bolt right here out and loosen that clamp. And then wrestle this thing out. It's kind of tight to get it out through here. But then we'll get that thing out of there. That right there, I know you have to have an inverted star bit, but I use this right here. It is an 8mm, and you see it goes on there, fits fairly snug. Those aren't exactly a super tight bolt, so an 8mm is the tool you need, and then a flat screwdriver, or I believe it's a 1/4 or a 1/4 fits on most of those right there. Alright guys, I got that out, and this is loose right here. So then what you got to do is pull that back just like that right there, and then you have to, it will come out. You kind of got to wrestle it. You got to watch this harness right here, it gets stuck on, but like I said, you got to wrestle with it some. Like I said, you got to watch that harness right there. It's hard to do with one hand while I'm holding my phone, but trust me, it comes out of here. There's that. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to record this at the same time for you guys. This harness here gets in the way. You got to hold it out of the way while you keep that out of the way. So give me a second here. Alright, then you have these little bits right here. See those all around the outside edge of it? There's another one. There's another one. Should be 4 of them. See right here, one on each corner of the square right there. So I believe they're a T25. So let's go get them out. Alright guys, once you get that done, you get those all loose. This comes off just like so. You set that to the side, and here is your air filter. Alright, so not so bad. I just actually had this out and cleaned it the other day. I checked it to see if they were any good, and they were really bad. So this actually is cleaner because I tried to clean it out the best I could before I put it back. But anyways, filter bad. New box, 2 filters. So as these filters are different, you find which one it is. And you see that's obviously the one for the other side, so we'll set it up out of the way. That's got to be the filter for this side, so we'll toss that out the way. Here's our filter. and that's got to be the way that it goes right there. So filter is in, and then you'll take your cover like so, and we'll put it back on just like so. Alright, and then we'll have to go back through and tighten 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Alright guys, so you get all 4 of those tight and you're ready to reinstall. So remember guys, once you get those all 4 screwed in, right, all 4 of those are in, that this end goes down on the bottom like that, and you have that little piece on the bottom there and that little piece on the bottom there. One of them sits down in that hole as you look from the top, and the other one sits down in that hole as you look from the top. So let's try how this thing goes back in there. Is this way right here. So let's try sitting this thing back in here. We got to get it back in here like that. Don't forget your wiring harness right here. That's the main source of problems with this side. Alright, so now that I got this back in place, once you get it set down in those prongs, before you even start trying to get this bolt, get this lined up with the opening on this and get that hose on there, will make it easier. First, it'll make it easier to set it back in like this, right? And then once you get that on there, this is held over and your bolt should pretty well line up just like that right there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that bolt in and tighten up my clamp, and we'll move on to the other side. Alright guys, in order to get this side over here off, you're going to have to take this off as a strut bar. Okay, so these are right here are both 16 millimeters. I was able just to break the nut loose, and once I broke the nut loose, it came off by hand pretty easy. And then you got to come over here, you actually have to take this side off too. And again, 16, you have to get a 16 millimeter wrench on this side over here. And this, I actually had to kind of pull it up to get that bolt out of there. Okay, but once you do that, and I would guess if you did this, it'd probably make that side easier to get in as well. But once you do that, it should just lift up and pretty much pull right out of the car. So now, to get this thing out of here, you have to unplug this sensor right here. Okay, it goes right there. You have to unplug that, and again you have to unhook that, and again you got one of those bolts. It was the 8 millimeter is the size of that socket to get that bolt there out. So then we should be able to fairly easily now wrestle this thing up out of here. Yeah, I guess it helps if I get this thing here off. That's kind of oddly shaped, isn't it? Yeah. Anyways, you know, we got to wrestle that thing out of there. It's going to be a whole lot easier if I use 2 hands. And as you guys see, it's starting to get dark on me. So I kind of got to move a little bit quicker with this. Alright guys, this one is still, even with that strut tower out, or strut bar out, it is still a bear to get this thing out of here. It hangs up real bad right through here on these 2 pieces. You can see it kind of scratched plastic up just a little bit on this end right here. But again, it's just a plastic piece. It'll go back in there. As long as it ain't cracked or nothing, we should be good. Now again, we got those 25 millimeter, 25 Torx bits right there, 4 of them. We got to break those out and get this filter out of here. Alright guys, and the other one I had been cleaned, this one had not, so we're going to see how bad this is. It doesn't look as bad. This one actually looks like it's been changed. These are not the same brand as the one that came out of the other side. So if we look, well, I guess maybe they are. They do look a little different, but I guess that's the opposite sides. But that's what they look like. This is the one that came out. Doesn't look so bad on that side, but that is, as you see, not very clean. So now we've got this right here. We've got our new filter right here, and it just flips over. Oh well, I guess this one's designed that way too. Okay, so you make sure your filter is all the way down in there. You want to make sure it's actually in this lip right here, because it'll make it not seal. You don't want to get vacuum in it. But you got your filter all the way in there, and so here's the top side of it. See, there's a leaf right there. We don't want that to go back in there. Alright, now time to reassemble. As easy as that, right? I think I turned it around. Yeah, that's how it goes. Alright, now I'll go ahead and get this reassembled and we'll get back to you. Alright, so here's how this is going to go back in there. And like I said, this part right here is where you're going to struggle with getting this to fit down in through here, because you got this plug right here that has to go in that hole. So let's see if we can't get this thing to go down in there. Oh, there's for reference, guys. That works a whole lot easier. See that? And there I was wrestling it the wrong way. Now you guys will be able to pull it out the right way first. And you want to feel around and get it lined up in those holes. Alright, and as you're going in, remember you want to try to line this part back here up so you can actually get that on there, because man, they're a pain in the butt afterwards. Well, I believe, yeah, there it is. That was my problem. Make sure, guys, you got your sensor that plugs into here. You got this out of the way because it was causing problems. Okay, back to lining this up. All right, and I believe we are in the money. Now we got to tighten this clamp back up and put that bolt back in there. So we'll get back to you here in a few seconds once we got that done. All right, now it's time to put this thing back on. And a tip, as you see this over here, okay, you know this goes on this side over here, because when you look, this right here has that hole where the fairings here actually bolt down to this. So let's go ahead, and it's going to go in. You got to line it up. And this goes on the outside of it here. This actually goes right there. So we'll pull this out. I'll stick it in there, and then it sits down in there right like that. And basically you just have to move it around and line up your holes. So we got a bolt right here, just like that. Okay, then we're going to come over to the other side, and we got our bolts. Okay, and then we're going to stick it through the back side, because that's how it was. And we got to raise this up and get those holes lined up and stick our bolt right like so. Now we're going to take the other one. It should be lined up now. Stick it right through. Put our bolt back on. Now we're going to get the other one, the second one on this side. Right here. So I can go ahead and put the nut on. Alright, so you see the nut goes on there. And this one is the one I said was kind of a pain. But you actually kind of got to lift that up to get it kind of lined up in there. Okay. All right, there we go. Got that one in there. So then we put our nut on there. All right, and then we have the one I was referring to. That goes right there. This is a 10 millimeter. All right, so I'll go ahead and grab my tools here. And we're done with this 8 millimeter. So we'll grab our 10 millimeter and tighten that one there up. Alright, so we got that one. And now we have our 16 millimeter. And remember, these weren't all that tight to start with. So just fairly snug all to do it. And we'll come over to the other side. All right. All right. Alright, that ought to do it for over here. And I'll have to go get my wrench to tighten the other one over here, so we'll get that taken care of and then we'll be back. Alright guys, once you get that on there, you got both bolts here and this one in place. Then you got both of those bolts in place. And like I said, I don't know if I went back and told you, yes, I did put that back in, and I tightened that clamp before I even bothered with this. So that's all set. But then this came off with the strut bar, and it actually is going to go right back up in there. And again, it's kind of hard to film here while I'm doing it, but you get the drift. It just pushes back air, it seals the hole up, so you ain't getting a bunch of dirt and debris over here. Alright guys, here we are. We got everything back on. That's already done. This side is done. Those bolts are in. Those are all back in. Now the one thing that we still need to do, that I forgot to do until I started looking back at everything, is plugging this sensor in. So it's always a good point for every time you touch something is to go back over all of it before you walk away from it thinking you're done, and get everything, make sure that everything is done. So that should be the job complete. And we've tugged on this a little bit, so make sure it's still clamped onto the turbo, and As I said, now we're good to put the cover back on it, and we have successfully changed the air filters on a Mercedes GL350 Blue Tech. And there we are. Job complete. So, as I said, we will see you guys the next time. We have to work on this. Peace out, guys.